Let's hold the clapping until after I make a fool of myself, and then you guys can clap all you want. Good afternoon. I'm super glad to be here. I'll start off. My name is Jerry Gamblin. I have my day job. I'm in the CTO's office at Cisco, where I work on vulnerability intelligence products and our XDR capabilities and our email threat defense and secure endpoint, trying to help figure out how we can bring those together and make those more usable. If you have a problem with your router, I am not the guy to help you. I'm sorry about that. I also was lucky enough early in my career to start at a company called Kenna Security that was acquired by Cisco 10 years ago, so that gives me some freedom. So I started an open source lab called Rogo Labs, where my goal is to help give away vulnerability data to every industry. I've seen too many organizations not have access to vulnerability data that affects their products because they didn't have an extra $30,000 or $40,000 in the budget to pay for a threat intelligence feed. So my goal is to give as much of that data away as possible for free. I built something specifically to launch at B-Sides Galloway for Scott when I was talking to him, and it's called VulnRadar. It's a 100% free and open source CVE tracking program that you can fork and run today, and we'll get into that in the next couple of slides. Well, like I said, there's a myth going around that if you want to protect your company, you have to have a six-figure budget for vulnerability intelligence to be able to see what's going on with the software that you own. The reality is that most of the data that you buy from threat intelligence company is just repurposed open source data that most people aren't able to go out and collect. So you end up with a black box subscription to a company who is just giving you data that the U.S. government gave them for free, which I'm not a fan of any of that loop. So I decided to give you guys a base layer of that data for free. And I have friends who work in the threat intelligence industry, and I want to say that there is data out there that is valuable to people who need it, but you need to be at this level worried about APTs, not at, the University of Galway level here. They probably don't need to go out and spend $200,000 a year on a feed for CVE data. They could use the free and open source feed. They're just not able to do it. Hopefully this tool allows them to put that together. So I have a builder's mindset. I always have. So it's going to be super simple. I'm going to walk you through this. We'll go look at the code. We're going to harvest the data. We're going to pull it for free from all of the major sources, the National Vulnerability Database, the CVE program, and EPSS, which is a prediction source that tells you if a CVE is likely to be exploited in the next 90 days. I'm a member of that working SIG, so if you have any questions about that organization too, I'd be glad to jump in and help you. And then I collect all of the software that has a known exploit that's publicly exploitable in projects and other open source projects, like Metasploit and Nuclei templates, and I put those all together on a website called patchlist.app. I use that list to enrich this data. So we already talked about this, and I'll just touch on it again. Open source intelligence is out there, and more people need to use it. There is commercial need, but the majority of people could get by running this free software and be miles ahead of where they are now. So this is a 4-step process that we have in VulnRadar. We're going to do the data collection, the correlation engine, which you get to set in a YAML file that says here are the software packages that I want to track. And then it does the enrichment, and then we do the output. We open the output in a couple different ways in this project. GitHub issues, if you're mostly there, or have it set up where it can shoot out to Discord, Slack, Teams. It can open Jira tickets or ServiceNow tickets if you want to go that far. The raw materials, there are 5 data sources here, and we went over this before. The first one is the CVE v5 list. It's what MITRE, the U.S. government, produces at the raw core. It's from all the CNA programs. This is the raw data of the CVE program. The next is the NVD data dumps. The National Vulnerability Database is a federal program that used to enrich CVE data for everyone to get. You used to go there to get your CVSS scores, CWEs, CPEs. They just announced that they're shutting that program down to focus on stuff that's only federal interest. So we're going to see less and less use of that. We bring in the CISA-KEV as a low noise, high ratio aspect. That's free from the U.S. government. The EPSS is a first.org program that takes every CVE and runs it through a AI machine learning algorithm and tells you the possibility of this CVE being exploited in the next 90 days. I bring in that data as a high value system, a low noise, high signal. And then I use the Patch This app that brings in the data from known exploit and penetration testing kits. So 90% of the time when you're doing a CTF or whatever, you fire up Metasploit and says, oh, here's how you hack this box. I just pull all those and says, hey, here's how you're going to hack your box. And you can use it as a defensive tool instead of an offensive tool. So the harvest is super great here. It runs every hour. There's no need for API keys, no need for data. It runs in a GitHub action. So at the top of every hour, it goes out and it picks up this data and it opens up the sources for you. The watch list, this is where I spent the most time because I wanted to make it human readable. You just go into this watchlist.yaml and you just say, hey, I worry about Cisco products or Apache products or Microsoft products. And then every time a CVE is issued for one of those products, you'll get an alert where you set it up at. You can also do things like keywords. So if you're interested in stuff that might not pop up normally, it's really expandable and it is open source. So if you find a bug or if you want to help make the list better, I would love for you guys to dig into that and figure it out with me. The secret sauce is, there's not really a secret sauce. It's just 200,000 CVEs that we are able to use free computing process from GitHub to go through in 2 minutes and to give you the data that's in it. So the prioritization logic, this is where it's a little bit different. So I just look for anything that has a CVSS score above 7 and an EPSS of above 5, and that's what I consider super high. And those are things that I would jump on right away. You can, of course, edit this, and I expect people to go in and edit this to make it usable for their situation and how they like to do it. If you might be in a PCI environment and have to patch everything that's above a 6 or 6.5, or you might be under heavy thing and say, I need this. So you just want to get those alerts as they come out. So this is what the enrichment looks like in the JSON that comes out. It tells you what the CVE is, what the, if it has what CVSS score is, if it's on the watch list, if it's in the CISA-KEV, etc. So this is just the base, right? It's JSON, and from this JSON, you can send it to wherever you want. I send it to GitHub issues and a Discord channel from here. So how would this work in real life? So I just ran this through. This program would be able to tell you when. So CVS, it was published at 1400 UTC with CVSS 10. The harvester would detect it within 6 minutes because that would be the time that it would take. It would then see that CVS is added, it would add that, and then it could update there. So the best case scenario, we could get a CVE to you an alert in 6 minutes. In the worst case scenario, it's 2 hours after it's published, if it happened to be published at like 06 and you had to wait 2 rounds for it to come through the data processing chain. Let me see if I can just stop this, and we will go look at the code right now. So the code is at Rogo Labs /vulnradar. You can take a picture, but I will. There's I've shared the PDF already on brogolabs.net that has the data in there. Love for you guys to go star this and to think about it and think about ways we can come up with a better way to make this project better. So here is what it looks like when it runs. So I ran a baseline last night just to show you guys what it looks like. So once you tell it what your software is that you've ran, you'll get this report here that will tell you, okay, so I'm monitoring Apache, Microsoft. So it tells you what you're monitoring and what you want to get. It tells you this is your baseline, how many CVEs there are that you track. So it's a little bit over 24,000. How many of them are critical? So 380 of these 24,000 hits my critical alert. And then how many of them are in CISA Kev and how many of them have exploit intel. So you put that together, and this is just what you'll get on your first baseline run. Where it really starts kind of earning its money and becoming a great tool for people is this, right? This is what it looks like when a CVE gets updated in the middle of the day and you don't know. This one went from high to low because a POC became available. It tells you what the description is, and it tells you the affected version, and it gives you all the links you need. So you're able to just, if you have alerting on your GitHub issues, this will pop to you and tell you. Or if you were like me and I can't show my work Slack and my work WebEx, but I can't show my personal Discord. So this is what my personal Discord looks like, right? Like every time one of these fired, I would just get a simple message that says, hey, there's an EPSS spike in this CVE. You may want to go check it. Might be as simple as the POC became available for this CVE, right? So this builds you a highly functional threat intelligence program right from the beginning that all you have to do is fork this repository and run it. Let me get back to my slides. Yep. So as I said, it runs 2,000 CVEs, and I did want to show you guys the run times. So you believe me, these actions run, and it's under 2 minutes to process all of that data every hour. So you don't spend a lot of compute time on processing the data. I do want to make a note here that depending on where you work and how you work, you may want to make this repo when you fork it private so you don't put a list of software out there that would give an attacker an advantage of what you run. That's why I made the list, the run so quick, because you get 2,000 private minutes a month on any GitHub account that you can run actions for. So this won't really eat into that, and you can add more specific software. But if you're like me and you're just running it for Microsoft and Cisco, which everybody runs those, so who cares? It's not really that big of a deal, but just something to think about if you are going to put in specific software that your company runs, OT, IT, maybe HR software that you want to really connect to. I've already been through the getting started. It's simple, 5 simple steps. You just fork the repo, and then you customize the watchlist.yaml that's inside that repo. And in the next hour, when it picks up, it'll start sending out alerts to you in issues. If you want to do something like a Slack tag or a Discord tag, you just simply add that as a secret in your GitHub Actions, and it'll pick it up and go. It's in the documentation, and it should be good to go. So there are some things to watch. You can't put everything on the watch list because GitHub has a 100 megabyte limit on the file that it can maintain. So if you do Microsoft, Cisco, and VMware, their back catalog and front catalog takes up about 40 megabytes. So you should have plenty of other data you can add in there. But if you go too crazy, you're going to start getting GitHub large file size errors. And you can fix that by limiting the file size or by paying GitHub a few dollars a month for block storage. Alert fatigue is possible here, and I really don't want you guys to turn this on and get so fed up with it you turn it off. So really go in and take that list and make sure that it's scoped to what you need. And you can go in and change how often it alerts. Maybe you don't want alerts on time. Maybe you just want it to send you an email or send you one issue. That's all configurable, and I'm more than happy to dig in and help you guys with that. So here's my closing slide, and, it's 4 points. It's stop buying black boxes. This is an open source community. I like open source. I understand that some things have to be in black boxes, but not everything needs to be. Context is everything. There are so many CVEs published now, about 135 a day, that there's no way that you can keep on track of that. So unless you build something like this or have another tool to tell you where your vulnerabilities are coming from, there's no way to keep up. You should automate everything. Everybody is scared that AI is going to take your job. I've been doing this for 25 years, and it's always been the same rule. If you touch it more than 3 times a week, you should automate it. And now we're just doing that with AI. So automation is still king and is still where everything is going. And start small and iterate fast. AI lets you do this. AI helped me build this software. AI has helped make me a much better software developer than I would have been normally. It's not for everybody. It does make mistakes, but it does help you get started fast. So thank you guys very, very much for your time. I left a lot of time for questions because I figured there would be, but you can please contact me on LinkedIn or send me an email or hit me on Twitter and X if you still do that. With that, I will take questions if anybody has any. Yep.
How do you detect that there is a new POC available in the web?
Okay, so for the POCs, I have a site called patchthis.app I'd have you go look at, but its logic, it goes out and looks at Nuclei and Metasploit and GitHub in POCs. Those are the 3 big ones that are also open source projects that just go out and put them in there. If you've been in security very long, hackers don't stay quiet. So when they find something, they put it on the internet, and then before long, it ends up in Metasploit, right? And that's where I get the POCs from. It's not perfect, and maybe that is if you need that level of perfection where you're getting stuff, more than a day or 2 before Metasploit picks it up, that you would pay for a black box who has, full-time GitHub scanners who do that kind of work for there. But it's a pretty solid list as is, just coming from the open source community.
Right,
Yes.
cool. First of all, very impressive. Couple of things in my question. With things like the NVD in America funding being taken away from it, current political climate over there, and other repositories becoming available, like European-centric vulnerability databases. And I read about one this week that China has a CNVD.
Yes.
That I've never heard of before, that has vulnerabilities in there that don't exist anywhere else. Can other data sources be pulled into this to aggregate?
Yes, they can, and I will add them. I'll add them to the root once they become stable. You're more than glad to add them to a branch. Anisa and GCVE have both come out and said that they're only co-numbering CVEs for the time being, which means there'll be no CVE. There'll be nothing in the global CVE list or the Anisa list that doesn't have a matching CVE so far. Once they decide that they want to go their own way, we will be in a much different world, and we will work from there. Yeah, but from there, China has their own database, Japan has their own database, and Russia has their own database, which is large. They all have access issues, and and stuff. So they're super interested if you're interested in being a vulnerability researcher. And I have a talk on accessing those that I could give at another time. But for most people, the stuff in the CVE is where you need to look.
Just kind of like, just out of curiosity, like, first off, fantastic tool. I'm going to be definitely looking into it. But has there been like, I guess it would be something you probably forked off, but like a capacity where, say, if like you were primarily monitoring, say, Avanti vulnerabilities, which are affected dime a dozen these days, is there a possibility where you could have it that it would also monitor for any advisories that Avanti would put out, or be it Palo Alto or whoever you have? Yeah,
we could do that. That would be something we could reach into. The problem is that there's not a standard language. This is where you do need a black box. Part of my Cisco day job, I ran a team that spent over a year taking the 500 unique advisory formats and building scrapers and normalization engines for them. I tried to talk Cisco into giving that away, but the sunk cost was, it was a team of 4 engineers for a year. So, I mean, you do the math on there. There's just some things you can't give away. So I really pushed hard for vendors to come up with a standard JSON that everybody could use, so you didn't have to do that. But if you want to do a 1 or 2 off with Avante or whatever, it wouldn't be hard to get their normal schema. Thank you.
Two quick questions. Have you heard of a tool called Re-Engine?
I have not.
Or Rengine. It's a reconnaissance tool that came out in 2023. My second question was, like, if it also does CVE. I just wondered if you had a chance, if you knew about it, would compare the differences of the endpoints. It's a tool I've only started playing around with myself. It looks very, very powerful. Like, it does endpoint discovery, directory, file fuzzing, subdomain discovery, and ports and everything. Like, it's pretty. Yeah,
that seems way deeper than what I was trying to build here. But like,
familiar with it, would you know the difference between the outputs? That's all right.
Yeah, this is just trying to scan open source data and make it super available.
Yeah.
Are all the threads that you're looking for purely ones with a certain CV or CSS? For example, my question is more of, say you have content builders, right? For example, when you're targeting industries like the education industry, you wouldn't want students to go to, say, adult sites or gambling sites, things like that. Do you have specific feeds for that too, or is it just...
You would have I don't have specific tools built out yet for specific industries, but you could easily set up one that's education focused or finance focused that brings in the stuff that they're normally using that other organizations wouldn't be. It would just take some time to sit down and to build those lists out. We have time for 2 more questions.
How was adoption, Jerry? I mean, have you had many users yet, and what's their feedback? Have you evolved with any other feedback?
Sorry, I guess I didn't make that clear. This is the first time I'm publicly announcing this project. I love the B-Sides community, and I've always wanted to get to B-Sides Galway, and I really try to make stuff unique for the conferences I come and talk at. So I wanted to build this for this. I actually have a LinkedIn post and a Mastodon post I'm going to hit enter on right when we get off stage. That'll announce it to the world. But yeah, I'm looking forward to people picking this up and to letting me know how they would use it and how they like it. And, like other open source software, I built it for something that I needed, and we can cut this part out of there, but I built it for my local school district who wanted to get charged $50,000 for a CVE program, and I'm on their foundation. I'm like, yeah, we're not doing that. So I'm like, I need to build something for B-Sides Galway. I'm going to build this and give it to my school district and then release it here publicly for everybody to use. So like any good open source project, it was built out of something that I personally needed and somebody could use. And now I hope that other people can find use out of it and get value out of it too.
Great. Thank you.
Yep.